everybody. This is Jakes McDonald, and with me tonight, number 11 of the Los Angeles Kings, Lowell MacDonald, one of the few maritime-born and raised hockey players in the National Hockey League. Lowell, I'd like to find out a little bit about your background, when you started to play this game.
At a very early age, Jakes, I guess I started at the same age as my young fellow, starting to skate about 2.5 or so. My father wanted to see me turn out to be a hockey player, I guess, so he got me on the skates real early.
Mm-hmm. You're how old now, Lowell?
26, Jakes. I was just 26 in August.
When did you turn pro?
I played 3 years of junior in Hamilton for Detroit's Red Wings junior team there in Hamilton, and 61-62 was my last year junior. We won the Memorial Cup that year, symbolic of Canada's junior championship, and I turned pro the next year with Detroit, spent part of the year with Pittsburgh and part with Detroit, the last half with Detroit Red Wings.
Well, then you ended up in the Toronto Maple Leaf organization before being drafted by the Kings. How did that come about, Lowell?
That was a real large trade, I guess, as far as trades go, Jigs. There was 8 of us, 8 or 9, I believe, I'm not sure, involved. Eddie Joyal went to Toronto at the same time. Andy Bathgate went to Detroit. Marcel Pronovo, who was playing with Toronto now, he was involved in the trade. It was an 5 for 3 type of trade, I believe it was.
You didn't get to play any games with the Leafs. You went, I believe, to Rochester instead, and then to Tulsa.
Yes, I went to Rochester just for a short time. I decided that I would rather play in Tulsa. I had the opportunity of taking my choice, and I thought Tulsa possibly might be a little better since I was just getting over an operation. Punch agreed, so I ended up in Tulsa. So we enjoyed Tulsa. It was a very fine place to play hockey. It's a real skaters league, that Central League.
How are you enjoying Los Angeles, Lowell?
Real well, Jigs. We didn't, to put it bluntly, we didn't expect to enjoy it this well. We came here with the idea that it was going to be a big, dirty city, and it's turned out that it has really grown on us. And
it's a beautiful spot and a great place to play hockey, Lowell. Thank you for joining us very briefly here tonight. We'll be back to talk with you further at a later time. We'd like to present you with this gift from Jack Nadell Incorporated, and we'll be back right after this word.
Everybody, Ed Fitkin, and the first intermission guest tonight is Bob Wall, captain of the Los Angeles Kings. And we had an opportunity to interview Bob just before the game tonight. And Bob is 5'10" and 186 pounds. You are one of the smaller defensemen in the league.
Especially on this team, Ed, I think the smallest guy is about 6 foot. I think Jimmy Murray, I think he runs around 6 feet. And of course, we got Bill and they're about 6'3", 6'4". I mean,
does it make any difference to you being shorter than them?
It has advantages, I guess, a little bit, and quite a few disadvantages too, I think, Ed. Especially when you have opposing forwards. I think it's a greater advantage to have a little extra reach to poke the puck away from the opposing players. But I hope to make up in this and a little bit of speed, which I hope that I have.
Well, you certainly have that, Bob, and one of the great requisites you do have is the fact that you can break out of a defense zone and lead an attack. You're a very fine player on the attack.
Thank you very much. I try to instill a little bit of fight once in a while. I usually like to take off with the puck, and I usually don't like to move it around until I get up to the other end, but sometimes I just have to. I enjoy taking off once in a while, though.
Do you do it instinctively, or is that the reason why sometimes you take the puck and go, or do you just see an opening and sometimes you pass it?
Yes, I guess this is true too, Ed. I like, once in a while, like I was just saying, I like to maybe instill a little bit of more fight into the guys just by taking off and causing a little bit of corruption up the middle of the ice, but
the team isn't moving fast. All right, what are the duties of a captain?
This is the first year I've been a captain of any hockey team really yet. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great challenge for me. I think the biggest duties are maybe relating through the players to the management, any beefs or anything like this that the players might have, or vice versa. And as you know, I'm sort of a chatterbox on the bench or in the dressing room and this sort of thing. And I don't think this has anything to do with captaincy, but I I just picked this up through the Detroit organization, and I like to have a real talkative hockey team.
All right, and when you're on the ice, the captain is the only one permitted to talk to the referee, and as a result, you can't be on the ice at all times, so you have to have 3 alternate captains.
This is true. This is why I think we have 3 alternates. I think Dale Rolfe and Bill White and Eddie Joyal are the alternates, and this is great because we've always got either a captain or an alternate captain on the ice at all times.
Okay, what has been your biggest thrill so far in hockey, Bob?
I have quite a few, Ed, to be truthful with you. In junior, we won the Memorial Cup, which is the junior supremacy in junior hockey throughout Canada. And the first year I played pro, we won the CPHL championship. And then again last year with Pittsburgh Hornets, the American Hockey League, we won the Calder Cup, which was probably the greatest thrill and the greatest hockey team I think I've ever played with, really, until making it to the National League.
Well, going back in your career, you had 2 disappointments with Detroit, I remember. One of them was being sent down to Pittsburgh around Christmas last year.
Yes, this is true. This was a very poor time for me to be sent down, especially it was Christmas Day, as a matter of fact. I had to leave there at 11 o'clock in the morning. But
the other one was the Stanley Cup game, wasn't it?
This was a great thrill, this one. Disappointment, I guess it really was. It was in the 4th game of the Stanley Cup Finals, playing against Montreal. We were up 2-1. We were losing 2-1 in the game with about 2.5 minutes to go in the final period. And Sid Abel asked me to go out on the ice, and I looked at him as if he was kidding or what. And he sent me out on the ice with 4 forwards. And the puck come back to me a couple of times. I had a couple of good shots, and every time I shot, I was stumbling. And this was to be expected. After all, I was cold. And finally, the puck come back to me, and I drove one. I just dinged it off the goalpost. Had the puck on in, or tied the score, and this probably would have been my greatest thrill. But consequently, it was probably my greatest disappointment.
Well, just as well it happened, because you might still be with Detroit instead of the Los Angeles Kings.
I'm certainly proud to be here. I'm very happy to be with this organization.
Well, Bob, we want to thank you for being our guest in this intermission. And as a result, you received from Jack Nadell Incorporated a special gift. And Jack Nadell happened to be the largest and most creative advertising specialty company in California.
All right, thank you very much, Ed.
And we'll be back with more hockey comment right after this break. Terry Sawchuk is taking some warm-up shots from Coach Red Kelly here at the practice session, and you can see how agile a goalkeeper has to be. Now we'll move in and talk to Terry here. Terry, you practice with a mask and you play with a mask. Let's have a look at that mask you have there. That is...
There it is.
How long have you had this one?
6 years.
6 years, and that's the mask. And who made that?
I got it made in Detroit when I was playing with Detroit with Lefty Wilson, the trainer.
Do you think it's added years to your career?
Oh, I don't know if it's added years. It stopped a lot of cuts.
Yeah. Wayne Rutledge doesn't wear one. Have you tried to talk him into wearing one?
No, he can do what he wants to, but I think he's going to wear one.
You do?
I think it'll help him, too.
All right, what about, what's the most difficult shot to stop in hockey?
Well, some nights they're all difficult, and some nights they're not, but any fella can shoot a puck real hard. It's very hard to stop anywhere, especially along the ice. They're real difficult.
Well, you've been playing hockey now for 18 years, and you started where?
Well, I turned pro in Omaha in 1947, and I played 2 years in Indianapolis, and since then I've been in the National League. I broke in with Detroit in the 1949-50 season.
You had a rare distinction, Terry, of being the Rookie of the Year in 3 different leagues.
Well, I played with all old fellows. I was the only young one there, so I was lucky.
What was the big turning point in your career?
Well, I don't know what it was, Ed. I had a chance to play professional baseball when I was young, too, and I had my sore arm, had operated on, and I thought, well, I can't play baseball. I better start playing hockey if I can, and I was lucky enough to get a break with Detroit, and as you know, no matter how good you are, sometimes you break in with a club that's not as good, and you don't get a chance, and this way I broke in with a real good club, and I got a lot of experience, and that's half the battle.
Was it quite a jolt to you when you were left unprotected by the Red Wings and was drafted by Toronto?
Well, in a way it was, in a way it wasn't. I had been told that I would end up playing for Detroit a month before that, and I was put out of the draft, so I guess nothing surprising in this game.
What about your family? You've got quite a large family.
Yes, well, my wife and I, we have 7 children, and it's a big clan. You know.
What about any of the boys? Are they going to be goalkeepers?
Well, I have one playing now. I haven't seen him play too much, but I understand he's pretty good. But since we've been in California, he's played 2 games. I think he's had 150-some shots in 2 games, so I imagine he's going to be a little tired. They only play the weekend, so it takes a whole week to rest after that, I think.
What about the injuries? You had a bad elbow to start the season, and that was a recurrence of an old injury, I understand.
Yes, Ed, I've had 3 operations on my right elbow, and I had 60 pieces of bone taken out. And every once in a while I get hit in a certain spot and it hemorrhages on me and it swells up and it gets awful sore, but that was the first time for a long time I got hit on it.
What about hobbies? Do hockey players have many hobbies?
Well, I don't know. I play golf, or if you want to call it a hobby. I do crossword puzzles or something like that. But I have one big hobby at home with them 7 children, so I enjoy them very much.
What about the players that you played with? Who would you say is the greatest?
Well, maybe I'm a little prejudiced, but I've played against him and with him, and that's Gordie Howell. He's got to be the greatest I've ever seen.
What about the Kings? Are you pretty pleased with their performance so far?
So far, it's just been wonderful. We have no big stars, and they're all playing together, and we're being well coached. That's the main thing.
And Red is developing into quite a coach. I understand that he has complete respect of all the players.
Well, it works both ways. The players respect him, and he respects the players, and that's the way you have to be.
What do you find different about him compared with Punch Imlach, for example?
Well, he doesn't swear.
No, he doesn't swear by Haig.
He runs a little on the same practice deal and coaching. It's tough for him. I know he's just starting out too. So like myself, I try to help him as much as I can too, in between periods and stuff like that. But he's a real scholar of the game. He always has been, and he knows the game inside out.
You worked a lot with our other goalkeeper, Wayne Rutledge, and Radar, as you call him.
Well, Ed, I don't know if I've helped him at all. I hope I have. He was falling down to start of the year, and he wasn't covering his angles. He's a big fella, He can cover a lot of the ground, but he's playing so well now, and everybody thinks that I've helped him that much, but he's done it himself. Nobody's done it for him, and he's just playing real wonderful.
What about a tip for a young goalkeeper in this area who would like to play someday in the National Hockey League?
Play center or left wing. Don't play
left wing. Well, maybe that's good advice, but what would you really say?
I guess the main thing is to stand up on your feet as much as you can, and it depends what your style is too. A lot of like Worsley goes down, I go down, and not as much as Worsley, and Glenn Hall's down, Crozier's down, but that's the way you play. And the main thing is, I guess, to listen to what your coach tells you. He's only trying to help you.
Okay, Terry, thanks a million, and we'll be right back after this word. what big number 15 of the Kings, Ted Irvine, looks like coming in on the goal. Hi, Ted. Hi, Ed. I'd like to introduce you to the Los Angeles hockey fans, and you're certainly a big fellow.
Yeah, I'm about 6'2", Ed.
And 100 and what?
About 195. That's for the record, anyhow.
Well, where were you born, Ted?
I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
And you came up through the Winnipeg junior system?
Yeah,
what team?
it was a Boston organization for St. Boniface team, St. Boniface Canadians. Believe it or not, it was a Boston organization.
Well, you've been in the Boston organization, as a matter of fact, all through your hockey career, haven't you?
Yes, I have, since I was 16, I guess I was.
Where did you go from Winnipeg?
I went from Winnipeg, I went down to Minneapolis in the Central League, and then I played 2 years in Oklahoma City.
The Oklahoma City team won 2 successive Central Pro Hockey League championships. Did you play an integral part in that?
I don't know. You like to think you did, you know. We had a real good club there, and playoffs, we just walked through everything, and I think everybody played a part in it.
Have you always been a left winger?
No, I was a centerman up to my last year junior, I think it was. Boston tried to make me a right winger. They could hardly make me a left winger, never mind a right winger.
Did you play much last year, Ted?
I did beginning, then I got hurt. I got a bad shoulder, and I was out for 10 games, and I couldn't get back in the lineup at all. They had a real good club last year.
What about this Harry Sinden, who went from Oklahoma City to coach the Boston Bruins? Is he a pretty good coach?
He's a real good man. He's something like Red Kelly. He understands hockey players, you know. He understands them as men, not just bodies.
Is this the happiest you've ever been in hockey?
Definitely. This is the happiest I'll ever be, I think, right now.
What is the secret of Red's coaching success?
I think the big thing is patience. He's got a lot of patience with us because, like he says, we make a lot of mistakes, but he's willing to go along with us, you know. You know, when you make a mistake out there, you're learning, you're not going to get yanked off the ice. And another thing I think about him is he's kept the guys so much happier.
What about playing in the National Hockey League? Did you ever think you'd make it?
No, I started to lose my confidence there. I'm 22 now. I was going to quit last year if I only got drafted, I think.
Is that so? What made you lose your confidence? The fact that you got hurt and weren't playing too much?
Yeah, that's what it was, you know, I was young, you know, and I wasn't too grown up, I guess. I'm still not, maybe, but I didn't understand, you know, why I wasn't playing, and I would get moody and everything else, and it hurt me.
What about your line mates with the Kings? Do you like playing with these fellows? Are you cohesive, better than you were perhaps in minor league hockey?
Well, as far as playing is, it's really great playing with these guys because, like myself, we were playing with Lowell MacDonald and Brian Kilray for a while there before Brian got hurt, and there's a lot of experience there with those two guys, and I make a lot of mistakes, but they can sure help you out a lot, you know.
All right, what about your hobbies? Do you have any particular hobbies,
Well,
Ted?
Not too much in the winter season because hockey takes a lot of your time up, but in the summer I do play a little baseball and like to race track and things like that, you know.
Well, I understand you used to coach minor football teams in Winnipeg.
Well, 6-man football team, young kids, that's what we used to coach, yeah.
Do you like working with youngsters?
I really do. I really think they're great. There's a lot of fun with them, you know.
What do you think the young fellows around Southern California should do to become hockey players?
Well, if they got lots of ice, just get out and skate. That's how it starts, you know. And then they got well, there's not too many hockey colleges down here, in California, I don't think. And if they want to play hockey really bad, maybe just go up north a little bit, or even go to a summer camp.
Well, they do have quite a few arenas around here, and they have a pretty good league, a junior league this year, I believe, and it's going well.
Well, imagine what, it's just like football and baseball. Kids want to try everything, you know. If they're not good at football and baseball, why not hockey, or vice versa, you know. There's lots of sports.
Are you married?
Yes, I am. I got married this May.
This May, did you? Well, did you marry a Canadian or American girl?
No, Canadian girl from Flin Flon, Manitoba.
Is that so?
Yeah.
What is your ambition this year, Ted?
Well, I hope we make the playoffs and keep a lot of people quiet to make them eat their words. And myself, I'd like to get 20 goals if I could this year.
20 goals. Have you ever scored more than 20?
In Oklahoma City, the first year there, I scored 32.
What do you think about the team spirit of the Kings?
Oh, great. For a new club that's just been, put together. We got a great club, a good bunch of guys.
That must have been a tremendous thrill going into Chicago and beating the Hawks that first time.
If anybody would have told you at the beginning here, I don't think you would have believed it, but we believe it now.
Hi, we had this chance after a Kings practice at Culver City to talk to Eddie Joyal.
Ed Joyal has been with the Kings since year one and game one of the Los Angeles Kings, and in fact, Eddie is now the third leading goal scorer among all the players who have played for all the expansion teams, as Eddie has chalked up 97 goals in a Los Angeles Kings uniform, exceeded only by Bill Goldsworthy with 107 and Red Berenson's 111 with St. Louis. So I guess let's talk a little bit about shooting the puck, Eddie. You've got one of the quickest shots I've ever seen. You don't seem to have to stop the puck. You can shoot it just as it gets to you. Is that a skill that takes a long time to acquire?
It definitely does, Dan. I used to do it when I was a kid quite a bit. In fact, all by myself on the ice. And after about 3 or 4 years, it comes naturally.
Eddie, what kind of a drill do you use? Do you line up pucks and then go along and shoot them?
Yes, usually after a workout, you line up about 16, 20 pucks, and you just shoot them all, one at a time, and it helps you to keep the shot, where you want to put it and everything.
When you're practicing shooting, Eddie, what's the technique do you use? You practice shooting for one corner of the net until you've got that down and then start moving around?
Yes, you move from one corner to the other, to one of the top corners and then to the other top corner. It takes practice. It's just like anything else.
What about stick handling? I've seen players skating along, shooting the puck off the boards, bouncing it to themselves, and go up and down the length of the rink. Is that a drill that you use also?
Well, yes, the center iceman tends to practice that a lot because he likes to throw past his winger and make sure it's ahead of him, and then he can pick it up off the wall.
Well, Eddie, you were a center iceman for many years. All of a sudden you find yourself now playing a wing. What kind of adjustment is that to make?
Well, for me, Dan, it's not easy, believe me. I've been playing center ice now for 13 professional years, and going to the left side, you got to change your thinking on the outlook of the game.
In just what way do you change, Eddie?
Well, I got to start thinking a little more defensively, whereas at center ice I was more of an offensive hockey player.
And the left winger, do you find yourself straying away from the left wing, getting out in center ice territory sometimes?
Oh, definitely. I'm out there shaking hands with Billy Flett and Ralph Baxter all through the game.
Well, then, as a left winger, is your job with Ralph playing center different than it would be with another center, say?
Yes, it is, because Ralphie likes to get the puck in our own end and carry it the length of the ice, and rather than throw it to his winger right away.
Then you're just up and down the wing. What about playing defense? Is that hard to get used to, too, watching a guy, say, in the left corner as you look out from the King's goal?
It definitely is. Like I said before, I'm an offensive hockey player, or supposed to be, and in order for me to start thinking defense all the time and a little offense, it's tough.
What about the wingers, Eddie? They normally are the men, aren't they, charged with picking up the men on the point? In other words, you're going out there and blocking shots now, something I don't think you did or had to do too much as a center.
That's right, Dan. I find that tough, too, because being a center iceman, you always like to be in front of the net. And I find myself when I'm in the opposition zone, I find myself, or in our zone, I should say, I find myself trying to be in front of the net most of the time, pick up the rebounds and start down the ice.
Ed Joyal is our guest, and we'll be back with Eddie after this word. This is the Arco Kings Hockey Broadcast. We're guesting with the Los Angeles Kings, Eddie Joyal, along with Bill Flett. He's been with the team ever since it was formed 4 and about 1/3 seasons ago. Eddie, what are the biggest changes that you've seen in the National Hockey League since you've been playing with the Kings?
Well, over the last 4 years, I think, especially in the Western League, I think the younger kids coming up are skating a lot faster, or maybe I'm just getting a little older. But the teams in the West, I think, have improved 75% in all positions.
Is that why, Eddie, perhaps many of the players who were with all the teams originally are not there? The game has just sort of passed them by?
That's right. I think you got to work at it every game, every practice, or you just won't be here.
Ed Joyal, since the new division was formed in 1967-68, a lot of players have come and gone, and you and Billy Flett have been here ever since, although the newspapers have had you traded on several occasions. Has it bothered you to see your name in print concerned with so many trades?
Oh, I think it does, Dan, but if you you always think if you're not good enough to play here, maybe somebody else will have you, and you always got that to fall back on. It bothers me.
Eddie, I notice your eyes are a little bit red, and I know the reason. Contact lenses. Now, how many players in the National Hockey League or on the Kings wear contact lenses now on the ice?
Oh, on our team there's Ross and Billy Mickelson. That's just the three of us. But at one time there was Teddy Irvine, myself, Wayne Rutledge, and Ross Lonsbury.
Well, I found, Eddie, that many of the players that wear contacts on the ice don't wear them off the ice. Do you wear them off the ice?
I try to wear them pretty well all the time, then on the ice and off the ice, because if you don't wear them, steadily, your eyes don't adjust to them as easy.
Are they easier to wear on the ice?
Yes, because you don't. You're involved in the game, you don't realize you even wear them, really. But off the ice, I don't think anybody's got that used to contact lenses where you don't know they're in your eyes.
Do they ever pop out on the ice when you turn your head quickly or have to glance to a corner quickly?
Oh yeah, I've had them pop out. But you get the guys together to look for them. They're not hard to find.
Have you lost any, Eddie?
Oh yeah.
How many would you say?
Oh, I would say about 3 pair.
In other words, in 5 seasons, you've gone through 3 pair of contact lenses. I hope the guy who insures your lenses isn't listening, or is there anybody who will insure your lenses?
Oh, yeah. They're not hard to insure.
Remember, if you're a hockey player and you wear contact lenses, don't tell the guy you're a hockey player. We'll be back with Eddie Joyal of the Los Angeles Kings right after this word. This is the Arco Kings Hockey Broadcast. Our guest is Los Angeles Kings left winger, formerly centerman, Eddie Joyal. Ed, you scored an awful lot of goals, 97 of them in the National Hockey League, playing with the Kings. Where's your favorite spot to shoot from?
Well, when I'm playing center or when I'm playing wing?
Either way.
Well, right in front of the net is, to me, is about the easiest because I can tend to get the shot away a lot quicker than most of the hockey players, I think, anyway. Maybe it's not going as fast, but it seems to be a little deceptive for a goaltender.
What is the prime ingredient with a shot that's going to score a goal? The speed, Eddie, or the placement of it?
Well, the speed it goes, I don't know. It always has a bearing on it, but I think in the National Hockey League, it's how fast you get it away, because you don't have that much time in front of the net. Them 2 big defensemen there, they'll knock you down before you even know it.
Is it tough when you're standing right in front of the net and guys are trying to move you out of there? Is that the toughest part of the game for a forward, when the puck is loose on the doorstep and the defensemen are trying to move you out and you're trying to stay there and find it?
Yes, it's especially when you're playing against an Eastern team. Well, West, like I say earlier, the divisions are getting the same now. All the defensemen are tough. You don't stand in front of the net on any of the clubs.
Eddie, as a left winger now, you're doing a lot more forechecking. I notice that, especially with Coach Freddie Glover, he's having you make a lot of contact with a man carrying the puck. And this is a little bit of a departure from what the Kings were doing earlier, isn't it?
That's right, Dan. And playing center ice, I don't think you get involved in too much of the action along the wall like a winger does. So I've got to change.
Eddie, we've noticed that you're going behind the net and hitting people behind the net. Now, this sometimes will shake the puck loose. I recall a goal this year where Whiting hit a man behind the net, and the puck just bounced loose in front, and there was Bob Berry. So I guess as a left winger, instead of a center, you find a lot more action in the corners now.
Oh, definitely. I got to be first in the corner to take the defenseman out, and then Ralphie comes right and he's to pick the loose puck up and throw it in front to Billy or back to one of the points.
One final question for Eddie Joyal. Since you've switched to left wing, have you switched hockey sticks, or you still use the same amount of curve in the blade of your stick?
Oh, I'd like to put a little more curve in it now, because I don't have to worry about passing to the left side. Because if you got too much curve in your stick and you're playing center ice, you'll find that the puck will roll off the end and you'll make a bad pass.
But on left wing, you could use a little more curve.
Oh, yeah, sure. You can control the puck a lot better, too.
Ed Joyal has been our guest, and we'll be back with a second period of play after this word. This is the Arco Kings Hockey Broadcast. If longevity, along with brilliant play, has anything to do with someone making the Hall of Fame, the gentleman sitting on my left will certainly make it. Harry Howell is in his 20th year in the National Hockey League, and Harry, let's see, Alan Stanley, Alex Delvecchio, and Gordie Howe, the only ones ever to play longer in the National Hockey League. How many more years will there be, or do you know at this point for you?
I'm just playing them 1 year at a time. I always wanted to get my 20 years in, and this is it, so we'll have to see what happens at the end of this season.
Harry, there's been a lot of talk about your back. Now, you had back surgery a couple of years ago. Was that an injury caused by hockey?
There wasn't any one particular time when I could say I hurt my back, but the doctors say it's just a general deterioration because of all the bumps and bangs that you take along the boards, and it's just because you play so long.
So you had the spinal surgery a few years ago, and you've been playing since then, and you thought at one point last year that you'd have to have more surgery last summer.
They thought at one time that the fusion had come apart, but I've had x-rays taken at the end of last year and again this year, and it appears that the fusion is solid.
Well, how about the pain associated with it? And do you have a bad back, Harry? In other words, many of us get up out of bed in the morning and the back hurts. Is this the kind of pain that you have then in your back?
I do get muscle spasms from time to time, but I do exercises every day, and the muscles ease up, fortunately, and I take a few pills, and therefore I'm able to play.
There was a great quote last year from Harry Howell, something like, if I were a racehorse, they wouldn't let me run. And you were talking about all the pills that you were taking. Do you really take that many, Harry?
No, I take a couple painkillers, and I take a tranquilizer, it's called Valium, and it's a muscle relaxer, really, and this is why I take it.
Harry, in your 20th year in the National Hockey League, has the role of a defenseman changed since Bobby Orr has come on the scene, or is that something that's been going on, the change to an offensive-minded defenseman?
The defenseman became offensive-minded, I'd say, about 10 years ago. Before that, the defenseman's role was to stop the man in your end and get the puck up to the forwards as soon as possible with a minimum amount of skating. And 10 years ago, they decided, well, we need some mobile defensemen, so we want the defenseman to carry the puck out of our own end. And of course, since Orr came into the league, he's all over the place, and he's such a great hockey player that a lot of the kids coming up now try to imitate him, and you'll see that on most teams, there's 3 to 4 defensemen that can carry the puck pretty well.
Is this good or is this bad, Harry?
I think it's very good. I think that it gives the fans a little more action, and I think that the forwards don't have to come back in quite so deep with the defenseman carrying the puck out. Of course, you're going to give up a few more goals because the defenseman is bound to get caught once in a while, but the games are much more higher scoring.
Harry Howell, have you then changed your style of defense in the last 10 years?
I think the first 10 years I played in the league, I would strictly be called a defensive defenseman, and then I hit a point where I think that I was probably playing my best hockey, where I was skating with the puck much more, but now I've gone back the last couple of years to being a defensive defenseman.
Harry Howell is our guest, and we'll be back with Harry right after this word. This is the Arco Kings hockey broadcast. We're guesting with Harry Howell. The last man in the National Hockey League to win the Norris Trophy is the outstanding defenseman in the league before Bobby Orr. And Bobby's won it, 3 years in a row now, Harry? You won it the 4th year before that?
That's right. Yes.
Harry, you played 17 seasons with the New York Rangers. Did you think about quitting hockey when the Rangers dealt you to another team, to Oakland?
I didn't think about quitting at all. The reason I had the back operation was so I could continue on playing. I thought I was going to finish my career in New York, but I didn't even get a chance to get to the training camp after my operation. I was dealt to Oakland, but I had no intention of quitting.
Harry Howell was the recipient of Harry Howell Night in Madison Square Garden, and I believe you're the only Ranger ever honored that way, aren't you, Harry?
Yes, it was quite an honor, and I am the only Ranger player to ever receive a night in New York.
Harry still holds many of the Ranger records. Let's talk a little bit about playing defense in relation to the goaltenders that you have here in the Los Angeles Kings. You've got one real young goaltender, Gary Edwards, his first year in the league, and then one in his 5th or 6th year, but only 26 years old. What do you have to adjust to play with these two different goaltenders?
Well, Gary, of course, being a rookie goaltender, he hasn't learned about all the different players in the league, and I think this gives Rogie quite an advantage because Rogie, of course, has played 5 or 6 years, and he knows
who is going to shoot at certain times, who is going to pass, and this is something that Gary has to learn. But Gary, I think, has done an outstanding job for us, being a rookie, and of course, you look at our record, he has had a lot of pressure put on him, and he's withstood it quite well. Rogie is, he's an ace, let's put it that way. He is an all-star goaltender, and I think you're going to see him in the LA Nets for quite a few years.
What does Rogie do that makes him a good goaltender? Now, I, as a novice, as a guy who has never played hockey, looking from the stands, it looks like Rogie contributes quite a bit to the team defense in cutting off passes coming from behind the net. It seems like they're very tough to get the puck in front of the net because he'll knock the pass down.
He does this. It's an art. A goaltender that was great at doing that, of course, was old Johnny Bauer that played for Toronto. You could never pass the puck out from behind the net because he had that stick out at all times, and Rogie does the same thing. But Rogie has a knack of coming out and cutting off the angle at exactly the right time, and he's talking to the defenseman at all times. He's telling you if somebody's on your back, if you're getting a puck in the corner. He shoots the puck in the right corner at the right time so you can pick it up when you're turning, and it just comes from the experience.
Harry Howell, do different defensemen like to get the puck from the goaltender in different places? For instance, would one defenseman want Rogie, say, to leave it by the net, another want it on the boards, or another behind the net, or so on?
You like to see the puck laying, say, about 3 or 4 feet to the side of the net, if at all possible. Of course, this can't always be done because you might have an opposing player right behind you. But it is nice to be able to pick the puck, say, 3 or 4 feet by the side of the net, so then you can go either way, either behind the net or turn and go in the corner.
Harry, the Buffalo Sabres have got 2 young hockey players, Gil Perreault and Richard Martin, that seem to be very, very good offensive hockey players. Are they the 2 that cause you the most trouble with the Buffalo club?
That Gil Perreault, he is something else. He's a great skater, and he's very, very shifty. And for such a big man, he must weigh close to 200 pounds. And when he's coming down that ice, you're not sure at all which way he's going to go. He's as tricky as anybody carrying the puck. And the other fellow, Richard Martin, he's got a great shot. I haven't seen too many rookies come into the league and shoot the puck better than he can.
What do you do with a Gil Perreault? Do you try and knock him down or ride him off the puck, or what?
You try to keep your forwards forechecking him as long as possible so he doesn't get a chance to wind up and come straight at you. What we try to do is get our center man to bother him and make him move from side to side, and then we can stand up at the blue line and not back in and make him pass the puck. We don't want him carrying the puck over the blue line. That's where he's most dangerous, because once he gets over that blue line, there's so many things he can do. He can make so many plays, or else he can shoot the puck so well, too. He can score from, say, 35 or 40 feet out. The thing we try to do is to stay up between the blue line and red line and make him pass the puck.
Our guest is Harry Howell. We'll be back with a final word from Harry after this word. This is the Arco Kings Hockey Broadcast. At the Culver City Arena after a Kings practice, talking to veteran Harry Howell. And Harry had said, or at least it was said by Gordie Howe, that you've got to be mean to survive in the National Hockey League. Now, this is your 20th year. Are you that mean?
I wouldn't cast myself as being mean. I try to take the man out as much as possible along the boards, but as far as Gordie's concerned, being mean, I think that he was pretty good with the elbows at all times, and you have to take the man out as much as you can. You just can't let him skate by you, and if he hits you from behind, you can't let him get away with it. But as far as charging people and cross-checking and high-sticking, I haven't done too much of that.
Harry, I notice you're one of the best I've ever seen at taking a forward into the boards at an odd angle. You seem to twist him just before he hits the boards, and he hits it way maybe he doesn't expect.
I try to get a bit of my stick on him and maybe a bit of my hand on him and try to turn him so that when I do get him along the boards that he doesn't get up and get back into the play.
Harry, you've spent more than half of your life in the National Hockey League as a player. What part of your body, other than your back, has it been hardest on to play this many years in this kind of a rough contact sport?
Well, of course, I have quite a few stitches in the head, and I've had a couple of concussions, and my arms aren't too well. I couldn't play baseball if I was a baseball player. I've had operations, serious operations on both elbows, and I've been fortunate with my legs. The worst I've ever had on my legs were stretched knee ligaments, and of course, when I was a kid, I tore the ligaments in my ankle. But other than the back, I've been very, very fortunate as far as serious injuries are concerned.
And the Kings hope he doesn't come up with any more because they need him. Harry Howell has been our guest. We'll be back with the third period of play right after this word. This is the Arco Kings Hockey Broadcast.